Turn that damn jukebox!
Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon, as we are going to talk about everything here on the show, recapping the Razorback weekend. And as you know, starting a little bit later here on the show today, because Sam Pittman just got done meeting with the media, and we're going to have a lot of clips and a lot of breakdowns from that. So we'll talk about some of the college football landscape, turning the page to Memphis, which is coming up this Saturday, and of course, get to all of your chats and break it all down there as well. But Andrew, it's good to see you once again. How are the vibes here on a Monday following a Sam Pittman press conference?
The vibes are good here. I can't say I'm thrilled and happy about the way the weekend played out and the way things played out for the Arkansas Razorbacks, but make no mistake and don't forget, a football weekend where you lose is still better than not a football weekend. And so despite the fact that the loss Saturday sucks, we still have football in our lives. We still get to come here on Monday and talk about football. It's being a talking head during football season is an easy job, is it not?
It kind of is, because you just see things and you respond. You know, it's a very easy thing to do. No speculation, no just, well, this guy said this, so it must be true. You get to see things, and then you give your reactions to it. And I know with the post-game show and all of our content from yesterday when it came to recapping the Arkansas and Ole Miss game, it still sucks. It still stings. It's still something that you want to pull your hair out from. But you still got 9 games left. You gotta turn the page and you got to move on. But Sam Pittman, of course, talking a little bit about the Ole Miss game. In fact, I would say he was referred to more of the Ole Miss game than it was looking ahead to Memphis, which is fine, because I still think that, you know, after time settles in, you have to have some questions to get asked as far as, you know, what you saw here, what you did here, and everything. And we're going to play some clips from that. But Andrew, it's always about, you know, hey, overall take. I mean, how'd you feel about Pittman following the first loss of the season, the frustrating loss, and just everything that he had to say from today's press conference?
Yeah, I feel like he got into a lot of schematic talk today. Not that, you know, Sam Pittman is not necessarily one of those coaches you view as an X's and O's guy. So while it shouldn't be surprising that a football coach would talk about football in his press conference, we really don't always get that. We don't hear that kind of talk from Pittman most of the time. It's a lot of times about the team's mentality or specific, you know, oh, here's our mindset going into this week of practice. Here's this guy who's playing well. We don't really hear Pittman a lot of times be like, hey, this is how we want to run the football. This is how we want to defend the run. But he talked a lot of schematics, and he did talk a little bit about, of course, the Memphis matchup. But with that Ole Miss game, the thing that really jumped out is how much he talked about defense. And, of course, when you give up 41 points and you let a D2 quarterback kill you, you got to talk about defense. There are questions to be asked. He definitely seemed to have the mentality. Maybe it was after watching film. Maybe he just slept on it for a night or two. We have to switch a lot of things that we are doing defensively. And he didn't talk a ton about personnel. He talked a lot about schematics, which I think is just interesting as an observer. And, of course, we all have our opinion on the defense and what went wrong and what they need to do. But it was interesting just hearing him talk about that a little bit and just say certain things that they needed to do differently.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering how it would approach from, you know, it's one thing to have an immediate reaction following a game. But then it's another thing that now that you've settled in, now that you talked to the team, now that you've looked at some things, you know, what's the demeanor? What things change? Was there something that he said in that press conference on Saturday night that maybe after looking at things changed his mind a little bit, or maybe it wasn't as bad? But I think that we all, and we'll start with this clip, we all know it was the secondary was the story. I mean, just the defense, the pass defense for Arkansas was the story. And I'm not just blaming it only on secondary players, because you got to get pass rush, you got to get all those things. But there's no doubt that that was one of the biggest talking points from after the game for Arkansas. You felt like the amount of plays that they gave up, the amount of times guys were just wide open. It just seems like such an unacceptable performance. And Pittman alluded to that in the post-game press conference. But he went into it a little bit more in depth today because, listen, again, 9 games. You got to improve. You got to get better. Can they do that? Well, Pittman was asked about how they can improve on the secondary, and I'll just let him explain it for you.
Well, the double move is obviously a concern, and we're going to get that because it was successful for Ole Miss. Lining up correct, and we've got to be better coaching. You know, when you're checking to check, you can't make a guy travel. I mean, you just can't. And we did that down there on the goal line. Guys wide open, and so we've got to do better there. Now, our whole key this week to me is go back a little bit more of the second half. It's hard to read alignments, eyes. Obviously you watch tape for a reason, and it's about cut splits. It's about who's on, who's off. It's about all these things in the secondary, what routes. So if you're changing late, you don't have your mind can't calculate all the things that here's a key here, here's a key here. If you're just lining up before they say set hut, you're not getting all that pre-snap stuff that you need. And so we went a little bit in the second half. 173 yards is still a lot of yards, but it sure as hell wasn't what it was the first half. And 10 points is a lot different than 31. And so if we'll allow them, play the play, make them make a play. A lot of times guys have a blitz over here, they'll check, you'll check blitz to the other side. Something very simple like that than trying to change the way that we're trying to cover them. And so I think as much problem as it was stopping them personnel-wise, it was just as much problem of us getting in late calls and them not having an opportunity to calculate all the things that they learned through film study and practice.
Okay, so that was Sam Pittman talking about the secondary. And Andrew, we talked a little bit about before the show started. Some people may just hear that and go in one ear out the other because they don't care. They're like, hey, you lost, you suck, we don't care. But, man, basing it on what he said post-game and what he's saying here, and then because I like to read the expressions, he stops himself and just pauses for a second. He's like, we need to do better as coaches. I'm not saying he's calling out Travis Williams specifically or Marcus Woodson or anything, but just basing it on what we saw, what he said after the game, and then what he said here in his impression is just kind of like, we did way too much stuff to try to get these guys to not be in a position to be successful. We did way too many things that ended up costing us. That was on us. It wasn't the kids. It wasn't like the players were just trash. We overcomplicated things. We changed in the second half, but it was pretty fascinating to kind of hear that from Pitman, where you could tell there was a little frustration there. Not at one specific person, but definitely as a coaching staff, he was frustrated by the way that they approached these kids and how they set them up for Ole Miss success.
Yeah, he didn't say Travis Williams' name, which, of course, by the way, he couldn't and shouldn't. But you're right. It did very much read at least that way to me. And honestly, you listening, you can interpret it however you want. I'm saying you, the audience, you can interpret it however you want. Maybe he's just saying, hey, we as coaches, because he did eventually say we as coaches, although it's kind of like, John, if I say something stupid, you say, hey, we here at Inside Arkansas are going to take this seriously. It's like you're apologizing for me. I think it's kind of like that here with Pitman, but you could say, again, you can interpret it as him just saying, hey, we have to be better as a team, as a coaching staff, blah, blah, blah. And by the way, the interesting part about this is the numbers do reflect what he's talking about. And if you watch the second half, they were still bad defensively, and they still were concerned. They still got beat deep a couple times, the double moves like he mentioned. But it does kind of back up that they were a little bit better at keeping things in front, didn't have these explosive plays, didn't have these huge, massive breakdowns, guys running wide open like in the first half. The only problem I have with that is I don't know if I can buy this as a real, oh, we had this huge problem, we fixed it, it cost us this game, but we're fine moving forward. Is the exact same thing happened on the Ole Miss sideline. Ole Miss gave up 28 points in the first half. They only give up 7 in the second half. Both defenses kind of made adjustments. Both offenses had a lot of big plays, and then, things tightened up there in the second half. It doesn't make me view this game through a completely different lens of oh, see, they fixed it. They found the culprit. Now everything's happy. It's that's just normal football. That's how football works. You have the matchups. You go in thinking one thing. You see there at halftime, you're like, all right, we have to change something up. That is just normal everyday football stuff that happened in both locker rooms. And regardless of how you want to word it or how you want to slice it, you were on the losing end of that. And I'm also, and Curtis and I talked about on the report card, I think he mentioned that he's we have the talent to be really good defensively. I question that. And I think that's the conversation that I was prepared to come here and have on this Monday. But Sam is going with hey, we had this schematic issue. We were making it more complicated than it was. We've simplified it. We'll do that moving forward, and we'll just see how that works. I just don't think it's that simple. I think there's a little bit more to this.
And I agree with you on that front. I do think that it's not just as simple as, oh, yeah, we just communicate better and then boom, they suddenly become a great defense. I don't think it's that simple. But I will say the things that we saw in the second quarter especially, but the first half from the majority, it was incredible going back and looking at some of the basic stuff. Like, it'd be one thing if some Ole Miss guys are just making plays, which they did on occasion, or that they were just faster and outrunning guys on a streak and getting beat like that. It'd be one thing. But man, some of the stuff just seemed so basic. It was the touchdown. I think maybe even Pitman talked about it, where the guy was wide open in the end zone. I remember going back and watching that play and seeing the safeties. You could tell they were kind of like watching two different people, and it just seemed like there was some confusion there. And it's not, as you said, like just, oh, well, that now they're fine. It's all fixed. Everything's going to be great now. But it is something that I'm sure Pitman and going off of that was not siding with the players, but I don't know what happened in the locker room. Was it the players getting mad? Was it just Pitman looking at this like, hey, what are we doing? Was it Travis Williams and them saying themselves like, hey, we got to stop overcomplicating this. Let's revert back. I don't really know, but it was just one of those deals to where Arkansas is not good enough to overcome those types of little bitty mistakes like that. And it ended up costing them here. And it was kind of nice to hear Pitman be very candid about it. And like you said, he handled it the right way, saying he didn't call coaches out by name or anything, but it was, hey, everybody's talking about this problem. We're better than that. We are a better team than that. And we're going to do what we can to fix the problem. But it was on us and us coaches. It was on us. It wasn't the players. It's not the players suck, just not good. It's on us. So I think Pittman handled it all the correct way, but you could definitely tell he wanted to make a point and make it known. This was just more than we don't have the talent to match up with a team like that.
And to even further this point, you had the D-line clip, right? We got that all set up. Like he speaks about a similar situation when he was asked about getting pressure on the quarterback on third downs. And hey, what do you have to do? Were you pleased with the pressure you got on the quarterback? And it's a pretty similar theme that he was pointing to.
Yeah, let's play that clip about D-line and secondary and just defensive pressure on quarterbacks.
Well, I don't. I mean, we didn't have any pressure on him. I mean, who made the sack? Not Smalls. Miguel. When your leading sack guy is coming from the secondary, you're probably not putting enough pressure on the guy. And we've got to get better there. Whether it's twist games or, we can't always blitz and that's the only way we can get the quarterback. We have to get better there. And with Quincy being hurt, he was one of our better pass rushers, and I think he'll be back. But, all that goes hand in hand. We have to be better covering. We have to quit giving up penalties when we run a man coverage. But our guys have to get to the quarterback, and that'll be a challenge that we put to them this week as well as the first three, but we've got to get better there.
So pressures, D-line, defense, it just, again, overwhelming. Like you said, it all goes hand in hand of it's us as coaches. We're better than this. We can showcase this. And, not having pressures is a lot more than just not having D-linemen that are good enough. It's a lot of blame going as far as to the higher ups and to the coaching of everything.
Yeah, which, like, again, as a coach, like I would rather you blame yourself than say, well, we just ain't got the dudes, which, by the way, is a real conversation we can have. You can never, as a coach, go to the podium and just throw your players under the bus. So, like, I think sometimes what we're doing right now is analyzing Sam Pittman's press conferences. I understand that for us, we analyze what we hear, but sometimes he can't say what he truly feels or what the reality of the situation really is. I guess just my thing is, what are we as fans supposed to really do with this? Like, because I think there's something to both of the things he's saying. I think schematically, you can make things simpler in the back end. You can definitely do more than just blitz with linebackers. Like you said, you can do your twist, you can do your stunts, you can do whatever. And I mean, hell, one of them got home. The one sack they had was from a safety. So clearly you can do some things. I think, you can make an argument for that. But I think the Jimmies and Joes also are at play there at the D-line position and at corner and at safety a little bit. And I understand why Pitman can't come out and say that. But, I guess just I'm asking the fans, how do you feel? Do you feel like this is an adequate, reasoning and way to process this and way to react to the loss Saturday as well? The coaches just, they lost that game because they were doing things schematically that our guys couldn't do. And so now I trust them moving forward to have those answers and to do the right thing schematically. And I think we got the players to do it. Do you feel that way? Or do we all just kind of look at him and say, man, he's in a tough spot. He has to just go out here and save face because they don't have real answers.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it's a quick turnaround and that they're able to just be as simple as what Sam Pittman makes it seem. I'm not saying it is, but it makes it seem like, hey, we just got to do these things and it works out. Now, this is what's tough is you only have a small sample size of 3 games, and the Razorback defense, I know the opponents and everything, but the 2 games prior did a fairly good job. It was this game that they really stood out. And it's just one of those deals to where I'm trying to wrap my mind around it on the defense specifically, saying, okay, was it just a bad combination of the defense doing these little things that are very fixable that end up causing problems, and Ole Miss having an electrically elite offense because of Lane Kiffin and all of that? Or is it more of, hey, these problems were so glaring that Arkansas's defense made Ole Miss's offense and that backup quarterback look tremendously better because of these things? Because if that's the case, then it makes you wonder, well, when you go up and face these other opponents that you have, whether it's Memphis this week or Notre Dame or whoever, is it going to be more so of your defense having these communication problems and you're making them look good? Or is it going to be about Ole Miss's offense is one of the best offenses that Arkansas is going to face, and then it's going to get better from here?
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. Because listen, I've seen a lot of people do the thing of, Lane Kiffin offense, they didn't have time to prepare for the quarterback. That's not ideal circumstances. And while I do agree, it's never going to be an easy task for a defensive coaching staff to go to Oxford and play Lane Kiffin and his offense. Oh, and by the way, you also don't really have much to prepare for in terms of what they can do with their quarterback. You don't really know. So it's a guessing game the whole time. And we saw that play out. But to your point, what are you going to do when you go to Knoxville? Well, I mean, that was a Josh Heupel offense that, they scored 40 on Georgia. So, what were we supposed to do here in Knoxville? That's Josh Heupel's offense against Notre Dame. Well, they scored 40 against A&M. So, I mean, what were we really supposed to? You could kind of do that every single game. And again, I'm not trying to knock on the players or the talent at Arkansas. I really am not. But you look at this, and we had these conversations preseason. You just look at the secondary, which is filled with guys who are either coming from smaller schools. I mean, Larry Wirt's a former walk-on at Jacksonville State who then became a starter at Jacksonville State, now is a starter at Arkansas. Caleb Wooden is a guy who lost his job at Auburn. Miguel Mitchell is a guy who was a backup at Florida. Julian Neal comes from Fresno State. All these guys, you look at it, and I'm not saying that's there's anything wrong with those circumstances, but you would need, for this whole thing to work, you need guys like that to play way above their levels that they've shown in their career, which happens all the time. We've seen Arkansas have great defensive players with a lot of those same contexts. I mean, Drew Sanders is a guy that I guess you could say lost his job at Alabama. Xavier Sori is a guy that lost his job at Georgia. So I'm not saying it can't happen, but you just look at the defense. You need all these guys to play way above the level that is expected of them, and you need that to happen at the D-line, linebacker, and secondary. And now you're admitting as a coach, hey, we sometimes really don't have the right answers schematically. We put our guys in a bad spot. So how are we supposed to really buy that this is all going to work out, and week to week you're going to have those answers, and these guys that you're putting in these positions are going to be capable of doing it? If you're coming right out and telling us, hey, the first time we faced a good offense, we completely screwed the pooch.
Yeah, exactly right. And there's something that I want to continue to talk about with the defense, and something that just came to my attention. We'll do that in a second. But I want to remind everybody that here on Inside Arkansas, we're presented by our friends over at Bet Saracen. It's the number one sports betting app in the state for the reasons only because they are the best. They are the best. I won a ton of money with them over the weekend, so I got them to thank because they have great specials. They have great parlays. They have games that you can bet on that you wouldn't even think of, but it's so easy to navigate. It's so easy to use, and the payouts and everything are so easy. But also on top of that, folks, if you have yet to start winning big this football season with Bet Saracen, just scan that QR code right there or click the link below in our description. Just do those things. It'll take you right to their app. in which you download it and you enter in that promo code Inside AR. You'll have some options to choose from, but just choose the option of Inside AR. You do that, you bet $25, you get $125. It's as simple as that. It's free money. It's free money that you can use to bet on, and you can only do it with the Bet Saracen app, only using our QR code. But remember, you have to click the link in our description below or scan that QR code right there on your screen. Use code Inside AR, where you bet $25 to get $125 with the no strings attached promo via our friends over at Bet Saracen. Go ahead, Andrew.
Speaking of Bet Saracen, I was scanning the app every morning. That's what I do. The first thing I wake up, I scan Bet Saracen. You know what I saw the over-under at? Which one, by the way, Arkansas is only a 6.5, 7-point favorite over Memphis. You know what the over-under is set at for this game, John?
I haven't looked yet, actually. What is
62.5.
The same exact of Ole Miss and Arkansas, right?
Very similar, and I think it's right around that for Arkansas State. I'm not even really, obviously the over has hit easily the last 2 weeks. John, I think matchup-wise, this is an under, and I know that sounds stupid coming off a game where Arkansas gave up 40 to Ole Miss. I think the under is the play here. I bet that line comes down. Oh,
yeah. Well, I was about to say, if they fix those defensive adjustments, like Sam Pittman says, it should be a much lower scoring game.
Memphis runs the ball, too, and they keep everything in front of them defensively. They got a good defense. I've been watching Memphis. They got a good defense. I think Arkansas is going to smoke them, but they do have a good defense, good run game. They're scrappy, and they play like an under type of game, like run the ball, defense, keep everything in front, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. I kind of like that.
I do too. Well, I want to bring this up. Now, I want to have this be made clear. This is from our guy, Logan. And Hunter Yurchek right now is speaking to the Little Rock Touchdown Club as we speak down there in Little Rock, which I was kind of fascinated to see what he was going to say or anything. And this has also been something that two other people have told me who were there in attendance. Obviously, there's not an exact quote, so I just want to make that clear. But this is a fascinating point because it's been at least, I don't want to say confirmed, but it's been said by a few of people other than just Logan, and we trust Logan. But either way, he said that Hunter Yurchek just said that him and Sam Pittman have had 2 phone calls since the conclusion of the game Saturday in regards to the defensive coaching staff. That's what has been said. And I made sure to follow up. I was like, any specific quotes? You can give me anything that he's just, and what was said, he's like, nothing other than that, just expressed disappointment in the defense. And then said the thing about them having 2 calls since the end of the game about the coaching staff specifically.
So that is very interesting. And by the way, John, it's not that surprising. Nope. I don't know. Have you said anything publicly about the picture you sent Curtis and I?
I was just about to lead into that.
Go ahead and give that spiel first, because I want what I say is kind of related to that.
Okay. Well, and folks, I did not post this because it's, again, there's some stuff that we just sit on and we'll share it to each other because there's just, you got to wait for time and place.
Did I put you in a bad spot? Be honest.
No, not at all. Because I was going to bring this up, but it was a simple thing where I was having to do some post-game things with THV 11 and Channel 5, and they always do it on the field after the game. So I was down there, and over in the corner, Sam Pittman was getting set up with the Hogs Plus people and Chuck Barrett because they're going to do the coaches show right after the game is when they usually do it. Well, the show was just not happening, and Pittman and Yurchek were off to the side. I wasn't eavesdropping. I didn't hear anything that was said, but it was a very emotional, heated conversation. It wasn't at each other. It wasn't at like anything as far as, pointing at anybody. It was just very highly spirited. And it was interesting to me because I was like, okay, well, could it be about the officiating in the game? Could it have been about, just what Lane Kiffin said something mean? And I mean, it could have been about a billion different things, but in the context of what we just heard and what Yurchek reportedly just said at the Touchdown Club and dealing with this, it's like, this is now starting to get a little bit interesting if that is the case.
I mean, we just spent the first 20 minutes of the show talking about Sam Pittman, kind of almost not 100% proven to be calling out his defensive coaching staff. And by the way, it doesn't have to be T. Will. It could be Marcus Woods. It could be whoever. But he was clearly saying schematically, we are doing the wrong things defensively. Said that publicly Monday, and we thought that was interesting, so we started talking about it. You saw that conversation with Pittman and Yurchek, which I, thought was interesting. But now that you add in, they've had 2 phone calls since, that's very interesting to me. And now my question to you, John, is, so clearly, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out, it's not out of the realm of possibility that, like, changes are made, whether that be now, whether that be after the next time something like this happens, but like, it's not out of the realm of possibility. We see coaches get fired mid-season, position coaches get fired mid-season. Would that work for Arkansas fans who just 2 years ago watched the O-line coach get fired midseason, the offensive coordinator get fired midseason, and we kind of used that 2023 season? That was, I don't want to call it a scapegoat, but like, that was kind of the justification was, hey, we made the wrong hire OC. We were in a tough spot with the Kendall Browse thing. We made the wrong one. We're firing that guy, going to Petrino. A lot of people accepted that, and they said, you know what, I can see that. I can, you have me something here. Will Hog fans accept that again if now 2 years later you fire the DC early in the season and you basically say, hey, we hired the wrong DC, but now we're going to get the right one in here in year 6? Does that work?
I don't know if it works. It's a matter of what it results in. Because let's be clear. This is just very much connecting dots, theory, all of that. It could be a big nothing burger at the end, but just given Yurchek's the one that said that at the Touchdown Club, reportedly. I mean, that's what. So it's kind of been brought up a little bit. But my thing, Andrew, would be just say, for instance, it was to happen right now, or was it happen this week or whatever. I think it would depend on the results following. Would it be dramatically improved? Then I think people start to get on board. But if it doesn't change anything, then everyone's like, all right, it was just a scapegoat. But also at the same time, I've always felt like coaches, whether it's head coaches, assistant coaches, whoever, if there's ever a firing, because we've seen two firings already in head coaches in college football, major college football with UCLA and Virginia Tech. One of the main reasons that's done is to send messages. Like if you're an AD, you send that message because you send it to the fans. Hey, we will not tolerate this, and we're doing it right now. And if that was to happen when it comes to assistant coaches, you can bring up the Dan Enos one. That was a message that was sent, like, hey, this is bad. This cannot happen. Something has to change, and we're changing it. It would be something I feel like it would send a message to everybody about how it's not tolerable. You can't have this. But another layer, Andrew, I couldn't help but just think it has to be more than just performance based. There had to be something going on, whether it was a massive disagreement, whether it was a problem in the locker room, whether it was not to speculate too much, but like, what was it? The strength and conditioning coach with the players, like kind of, causing problems and cancerous stuff in the locker room. I mean, there would have to be something more than just, oh, I didn't like your performance in this game, you're bad. There would have to be something a lot deeper than that. Hog fans would only in my opinion, accept something like that and be cool with it if the results ended up in being improvement. But if nothing changed, then nobody would accept it.
Well, I guess that's kind of what I'm thinking too, is that it's not like, the defense has struggled before. I mean, hell, you look at the numbers, they were a bottom 5 defense in the SEC across the board last year. In 2022, of course, with Barry Odom, the defense is bottom 5 in the SEC. 2023, T. Will's first year, they were like competent. They were competitive on defense, but they weren't great by any means. So it's not like this is some unknown, like some crazy, the first time Arkansas's had a bad defensive game. So I'm with you in terms of, this is a little bit weird here, and it's such a dramatic shift. I mean, hell, 6 months ago, there was like a section of the fan base that wanted T. Will to be the head coach in waiting. There's actually people out there, I don't agree with these people, but there's people out there who think they should fire Pitman and have T. Will like take over. You know what I mean? Like that's, and I'm not saying that's like a realistic thing that's going to play out. I'm just saying like there's people who feel that way. And the reason they feel that way is because the program has never really shied away from positioning T. Will as this, and I say T. Will, Travis Williams. Do we call him T. Will anymore?
I mean, I know who you're talking about, so it works for me.
I think we got to go back to Travis Williams. Well, the thing about Travis Williams is that he's kind of always been sold as this guy who's this awesome young guy. He's clearly an energetic young guy. The coaches thing was very popular. Like everyone has always kind of loved the idea of Travis Williams being the defensive coordinator, and maybe we all kind of view him as a guy that could be a head coach somewhere. I mean, we even had that conversation of like, would he leave and go somewhere like UAB? Would he go back to Auburn? Like, what would happen there? So for it to shift so drastically from that standpoint, and I know that some bad games have happened, but to now it's like, oh, we might fire this dude after week 3. It's like, wow, that leads me to believe that like there is a bubbling issue there in the locker room that I don't like.
Yeah, and just to be clear, to make it all everyone know, this is just what we allegedly heard or what was allegedly said by Hunter Yurachek in the press conference afterwards and basing it in conjunction with Sam Pittman's comments in these press conferences. That's it. We don't know if anyone's getting fired. Again, it could be a big nothing burger. Doesn't mean anything. It's just interesting. And also, too, Andrew, like, yeah, did I see that conversation? Was that something maybe this I just saw? But I have no idea what it was about. But this is also stuff that Sam Pittman and Hunter Yurachek are saying. It's not us just or anybody being like, oh, well, there's got to be something going on. It's like, man, here's what I'll if we get the clip, as soon as I get it, folks, I want to play it in its entirety. If we can find it or get it at some point, maybe we save it till tomorrow. We'll see, because I want to get the full context. But if that was said, kind of how it was put to me and how it was sent to me, what are you doing, man? Like that there has to be some sort of reason why you got to get specific with that, Hunter, of saying, I've had 2 conversations with him. Like, you got specific. It's one thing of saying, yeah, I've talked to Sam and it was bad, blah, blah, blah. No, I've had conversations with Sam after the game. No, I've had 2 conversations. I've had 2 phone calls with Sam Pittman since the conclusion of the game about the defensive coaching staff. What? I could be wrong. I love David Basil, but I don't think he was sitting there being like, hey, Hunter, have you had any conversations about Sam, about the coaching staff, and if you're going to be making any changes? Hunter said that. So it's like, why? What reasoning is this? That's the stuff that I'm always so confused about, of like, okay, this has to mean something. You don't say those things unless it means something, right?
Yeah, and it's also not a coincidence that literally in the last hour, it was less than an hour ago, Sam Pittman was sitting in front of a microphone. So if, like, regardless of if you want to take this Hunter Yurachek thing seriously, Sam Pittman, we spent the first 20 minutes playing these clips of him being like, I really did not like what we did schematically. Like, like you said, he would pause and make sure he worded it right.
Yeah, just like Andrew just paused there.
Made sure he was very displeased. He was very displeased with what they were doing schematically defensively. And I'm like, I don't know. I think we have to take these guys at their word on this. This is a weird thing.
Yes, and that's where I'm at. It's very weird, very coincidental when these things start happening. And we'll continue our conversation and talking about it. We'll get to your chats here in a bit too, but I want to remind everybody, Hickey Hull Law, they are the official law firm of us here at Inside Arkansas. We appreciate them being a part of us here because we know how important it is to make sure that you have help in things that are tough to go through alone, like divorce and custody cases, criminal cases, civil litigation cases. Those are so complex. There's so many layers to it. There's so many moving parts. And it's so important to make sure that you are protected, that you are taken care of, that you are getting that representation that you need to have to make sure it all gets done the best way possible. And that's why we love Hickey Hull Law, and that's why they're the best in the state of Arkansas, because they're going to help you out every single step of the way. So give them a call today at 479-434-2414. That's 479-434-2414. You can also visit their website at hickeyandhull.com, hickeyandhull.com. They have offices across the state, whether it's Fayetteville, Fort Smith, Little Rock, or Mena. You can get in touch with them via their phone line, via their website, whatever it may be. Make it Hickey and Hull Law, because things are about to get better. Again, we're here on Inside Arkansas Live, kind of recapping Sam Pittman's press conference and getting some word about Hunter Yurachek's comments there when it came to the defense. And also, too, it's fascinating where you have in that game so many moments against Ole Miss that you could look back upon and could have just been the difference. I know you guys talked about in the post game and in the report card and everything, but it's just amazing how, if you think about the one possession games and the one possession games that Arkansas's lost under Sam Pittman, not all of them are created equal, but man, it's just a matter of those little bitty differences. I'm not blaming Scott Starzik, but I'm just saying if he makes both those field goals, it's a different game. If you don't get that pass interference call, which Sam Pittman didn't seem like he was too happy about on that 4th down play, it just changes the game. And I'm just curious, because I know we'll give any updates on it, Andrew, but do you make anything out of that one possession record that Sam Pittman has against 7-18 at this point? Like, because he kind of is like, what do you want me to do with that? Which I didn't even have necessarily a major problem with, but what do you make? What do you make of his reaction, but also just that stat of his one possession loss record?
So, he was asked something, it was another stat. I think someone's, it was Matt Byrne was like, you're 3-3 in SEC openers. What's the difference, mentality wise? And he's like, dude, I don't know. He's like, these stats mean nothing to me. So I thought that was actually, like, to your point, I don't really care about Sam Pittman being like, this stat, like we have issues we need to fix. We'll see if we can fix them. But it's like this stat means nothing to me because there is something to it. I mean, it's one, you're in these positions so many times in SEC games. Likely, you're going to play 5 or 6 games every year that are going to be one possession games where the talent level is not different. So I do think there's absolutely something to the fact that you have such a bad record and you are never winning these games. Now, I see a lot of people say, well, yeah, but Arkansas is not favored in most of those games. They're underdogs. Like they were underdogs against Ole Miss. So then what's the message there? That like most of the games you play, you're going to be the underdog and you're not going to find a way to get over that hump. Like, is that much better to you? I don't really know. So, I mean, listen, it's kind of a narrative that hangs over everyone, whenever you have a record like that. It's unfortunate, like you said, we were very close to having this conversation where Arkansas is 3-0 and they made one of those plays and all of a sudden they're winning. Would we view everything vastly different? It is, you could say it's unfair to judge it on these close games, but it's like, that's how this works. That's the sport we're in. It's college football. The margin for error is thin. The SEC, for a program like Arkansas to reach that next level, they have to kind of win in these spots. They have to win those close games, the loose balls, the whatever. Like you kind of have to have that go your way. And so you could look at it and say, well, it's just been tough luck for Arkansas. But I don't know if that makes you feel any better that you just are never able to get over that hump over teams that are better than you.
Yeah, because you're not going to win every one possession game, so it's like you can't look at it as, oh, well, you just flip it and then there it is. You're going to have some games that you lose, but it is one of those things. You talk about the margin of error. If you just cut I think 16 or 18 games, I should have the stat in front of me of as far as how many losses Sam Pittman has had in one possession games. If you just cut those in half, just say cut it in half, you're talking about an average of 2 extra wins a season. And think about the difference that is, like the absolute crazy difference that makes in Sam Pittman and the current state of the program and everything. And that's honestly like what gets thrown around. I shared it with you guys as far as a tweet that I saw from a guy. And I'm just going to go off the limb and say that it was accurate in what he said. But he said that under Bobby Petrino, Arkansas was 12-7 in one possession games. And since 2012, Arkansas is 16-42 in one possession games. Since 2012, 16-42. And if that's the case, it's like, well, what was Arkansas during that stretch of Bobby Petrino? They were a really good football program. Why? Because of that record. What has Arkansas been since that point? Not a great football program. Why? Because of that record. I mean, it just sounds so simple, but great teams, great coaches, great programs. They're the ones that find ways to win those one possession games. And Sam Pittman, Arkansas, since 2012, just really hasn't done a good job of doing that whatsoever.
You know that meme, John, that's like the worst person made a great point?
Mm-hmm.
Camo Gang is not the worst person I know. He's a good fella. He just loves his Hogs and he's passionate. But he made a great point here and says Ole Miss believes they dropped a few picks and it's a blowout. And to his point, and I know Hog fans would push against that, of course. Every single team, we talked about the adjustments earlier of like Pitman going to the press conference and being like, hey, we made adjustments at halftime and we were better in the second half. And, that's how it is. Every single team in the country is having these exact same conversations we're having of if 3 things happen differently, our results and our outcome would be completely differently. You think Notre Dame's not sitting there looking at the Miami game and the Texas A&M game and saying, man, if we had just had a few things go our way, we're 2-0 and ranked number 1 in the country. Instead, we're going to be out of the top 25 when we lose to Arkansas. Everybody is doing this of saying, oh, man, we could have had this go our way, could have had that go our way. Oh, we should have made an adjustment here. We were right there. Oh, we missed a field goal here, threw a pick here. Everybody does that. And at the end of the day, not trying to do the whole you are what your record says you are. It's like that is the game we play. The SEC, it's going to be close. It's going to be tight. They're going to have hostile environments. You're going to have to make adjustments. You're going to face the best coaches and best players in the country all the time. You're not always going to have a talent advantage. You're not always going to have things go well schematically. You're not always going to have your kickers make kicks. Like you just have to find a way to win games in this business. That's just what you do. And so while I sympathize and I'm like, man, it sucks that Arkansas was just right there. They were good enough to win, but couldn't do it. It's like, that is ultimately the task. That's the goal. That's what we're here to do. And Arkansas, by the way, is going to have many chances later in the year. Yep. Last year, Arkansas loses a game against Oklahoma State. Way worse, honestly, than this Ole Miss game, and to a way worse team. That didn't disqualify them from being in close games against A&M and Tennessee and not really LSU, but Missouri and having other opportunities. At some point, you just got to win those games. You have to take advantage of those opportunities. And if Arkansas does that from here on out, we can still have a conversation about, hey, where are they? Who can they beat? Are they a great team? But you have we are going to judge you, and if you win, we will view you better. If you lose, we will view you worse. That's just how it is, and I know that's unfair, but here we are.
Well, and to your point as well, we're talking about the Ole Miss game specifically, but if Jaylen Brown doesn't fumble the ball, Arkansas gets that ball in the end zone on that drive, and they win the game by a final score of 42-41. What is the vibe and conversation and everything that y'all would have had on post game that we would have had today? The Sam Pittman's press conference, everything changes completely. Yes, we'll bring up, hey, the secondary was bad, but they can't. We do all of those things, but it's the win and the loss, and it's like that one small little thing. Yeah, there were other plays too that could have happened in the game, but those are the types of plays that make the difference. Because Ole Miss, I guarantee you, when Arkansas got that ball back and they were down 6, and every one of those Ole Miss fans were puckered. They were just like, oh, geez, what do we do? Oh, man, if we just would have had that touchdown that we could have made instead of getting that penalty, or, they would have started doing all that stuff. It's the same thing. It's just you got to make the plays when they matter the most. And early games or early plays in early part of the games, you can overcome a little easier. But it's like those clutch moments. Again, I'm not putting the blame at Jaylen Brown. I'm just saying those are the little bitty things that make the difference in everyone's entire feeling and mentality about a football season. Because if Arkansas went and won that game and they're sitting at 3-0 and they're probably ranked in the top 25 right now, people are going nuts and awesome and crazy. This is great. Can't wait to go out there and beat Memphis, beat Notre Dame and all that. But those few plays just made all the difference in the world, and that's what's unfortunate. But I tell you what, as part of that, we'll use it as our Alumni Hall question of the day, presented by our friends over at Alumni Hall, which we're going to be at next Friday, the Friday before the Notre Dame game. We're going to be live there at 3417 North College Avenue, hanging out from 12 to 2, telling you all about all the great stuff that they have when it comes to your Razorback apparel. And I know a lot of you are going to be going to the Memphis game this weekend. You'll be there at that Notre Dame game. Well, you need to have the greatest and latest and best apparel when it comes to the Razorbacks, and that's what Alumni Hall has. They have it for everybody, for men, women, and kids. And they also, of course, have all their tailgate decor that you could have. And they got jerseys, they got hats, they got polos, all the good stuff. So if you ever need anything Razorback, don't go anywhere else. Go to the best selection, and go to Alumni Hall. You can shop them online at insidearkansas.com/Alumni Hall. That's insidearkansas.com/Alumni Hall. Use that promo code HOGSBY20 to get 20% off your purchase. It's the ultimate Razorback shopping experience with our friends over at Alumni Hall. All right. And the question simply was, Andrew, I just wanted to get feelings for Razorback fans. Now they've had a few sleeps since then, but even after the loss to Ole Miss, do you still believe the Razorback football team can have a good season? And a good season is relative. It's relative. 55% say yes, 45% say no. So take that for what it is.
So the question is, can they?
Yes.
Not will they. Let me make it clear. If you said, will they? I would say no. I picked them to go 5-7 preseason. I'm right around there. I think they actually might go 6-6, but I'm right around there still. I'm not predicting Arkansas to have a good season, but it says, can they? And yeah, they absolutely can. Like I said, they were in a very close game on the road in Ole Miss, and they had a chance to win the game. They didn't. I think it would be foolish to expect that they are not going to be in similar situations in the future, whether that's against Notre Dame, whether that's against A&M, Tennessee, Auburn, Mississippi State maybe, because they're going to be kind of like that as well. Hell, even Missouri, who I do like their quarterback. It's and hell, one of those Texas and LSU games has a good chance to be close. So it's I could see a case where Arkansas is in 4 or 5 games down the stretch that are close, one possession. Will they come up with those wins? Probably not. But I think they still have an opportunity. There's still plenty of wins on the table for them to go out and get. How many will they actually take hold of and grab? I don't know, but I think there are still a lot of opportunities for a good season to happen. But I personally am not confident that Arkansas is going to take advantage of as many of those opportunities as we want.
And that's where I'm at too. It's I believe they can, basing on what we saw in the first 3 games, they're not awful. And also too, I try to look at the opponents they're playing, and I'm not saying Arkansas is going to beat all these teams, but it's there's a lot of these teams where I'm still not thinking it's impossible for Arkansas to beat. I mean, you got some teams that maybe look better. We'll see what Auburn, but even Auburn looked kind of weird. Mississippi State's one of those that people chalked up. I know A&M beat Notre Dame, but hey, Notre Dame, they lost. Are they a lot more beatable than what you thought? Texas looks like crap. Are they beatable? So there's just a lot of elements where it's just not about Arkansas, but it's also about the teams you play. But I mean, I think all of us here at Inside Arkansas with our preseason predictions, we said they'd start the first 3 games 2-1. and that's where they're at right now. So I still think that they're going to have a good season. You got 9 games left, for crying out loud. I mean, you could turn it around and you could look back on this game and just be even more frustrated about it. Like, man, that kept us from having this. But no, I still think they can. Will they, though? I mean, I felt like they could beat Ole Miss, but did they? No. So, it doesn't mean anything right now. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the sense that you look at teams on the schedule and, there's good teams. There's teams that'll be favored against Arkansas. There's teams that I don't think they're going to beat, but it's like there's a lot of teams that have issues that are very beatable. I mean, LSU, they're good. They're very good. They are not capable of blowing teams out. Like, they don't have a good enough offense to just run you off the field. They beat Louisiana Tech by 2 scores. You know what I mean? Like, it really like those games are going to be, I'm not saying Arkansas should be expected to win, but there are opportunities there. And to be honest, John, I look at Arkansas's offense, which, of course, we haven't talked about a ton because we're focusing on the sad parts that make us sad. But I look at Arkansas's offense; they're going to score a lot. That looks like an offense that could sneak one against someone random. Like, I feel like Arkansas has one big upset in them, a la Tennessee, a la whoever. That they could beat a ranked team with that offense. I also think when you have an offensive line that's good and a quarterback that's good, it's really hard to be bad. And so I don't think Arkansas is going to have a good year. I don't think they're going to have like a really bad season with an offense that well functioning.
Yeah, I think that if they're going to win games, it's going to be where if the defense just figured out just enough, or if your offense is just good. Because I'm telling you right now, I know Taylon Green, we all know exactly what he's capable of, but man, there's going to be some games I think he alone wins it for you. And he almost did it by himself against Ole Miss. So I think as long as you have him healthy and as long as the offensive line's still protecting really well, I think it's really going to make a major difference for him, and they're going to be just fine. So but let's go ahead and get into the chats here on the show. It's presented by our friends over at Basis Health, where they're changing the way healthcare is delivered by providing mobile medical visits to the comfort of your very own home. A doctor will come to your home for urgent care, primary care, IV hydration, and so much more. It's Basis Health. They are here for you when and where you need them the most. You can learn more at basishealth.org today. Shout out to our guy Dre for being a part of us here at Inside Arkansas each and every day with Basis Health. All right, so a few of your chats, and we'll have some other things to talk about too. Shout out to Alex Edens for the super chat. Appreciate it, man. Says, are there any repercussions to expect for Ole Miss after Kiffin completely lied on his injury report? I don't think so. You guys kind of talked more about this when I asked, but I don't think there will be.
I don't think so either. And because I was with you, Alex, I was kind of wondering, and I saw Jackson Fuller, our guy, was kind of like, he put out the guidelines of like, this kind of feels like it. The reason it's not, if you lie, if you say a player is out and he plays, that is a huge no-no. You cannot do that. When it's someone who you say is going to play and he doesn't play, which, by the way, Austin Simmons did play. He was available. He came into the game and threw a touchdown pass. So it's like they didn't lie. He just clearly was not 100%. But, like, they listed him as available for the game. He was available. He played in the game. So, one, I think him coming into the game kind of makes it a moot point. But also, I don't think it's a crime to just not play a guy because you can always say, yeah, no, I thought David Oki was healthy, but I didn't play him because he's our third defensive tackle. You know, you always kind of reserve that right. I don't know how you would prove that they lied about that.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It's something to where, like, people are probably wanting to see. Maybe they don't understand it because it does look a little bit weird, but I don't know. Like, Lane Kiffin's dumb. Or, sorry, let me say that. Lane Kiffin's smart, but he's not dumb enough to where he's going to risk a fine or any sort of repercussions simply because he didn't understand the rules of the injury report. Like, he can do gamesmanship, but I just don't think he's stupid enough to be like making a blatant error that's going to cost him money and cost them some sort of repercussions. I just don't see that's the case. So, but it was an interesting question about how that was going to go. And real quick side note, when I was there at the Grove, I met some Razorback fans. By the way, huge shout out to Razorback fans. There was a ton of them that showed up there in Oxford. But it was amazing to see how many Ole Miss fans are like, dude, I think Arkansas beats us, man. Like, we got our backup quarterback in. I'm like, doesn't matter, man. Like, and a lot of them were even saying like, yeah, dude, if we don't have Simmons, we're cooked. Because but I think he's going to start though. I think Kiffin's just gotten gamesmanship. It's like even they know, so it's all over the place, man. It's all over the place.
Yeah, it is so funny. I mean, and it is funny to hear that from Ole Miss fans because we were told, Curtis and I on the post game, we were told to like. The story of this game is that Chambliss really is Russell Wilson. And so he's going to go on and he's going to dice up this. I saw someone in the chat say he was going to be an All-American. And then, we'll see if he gets drafted. It seems like this is just the beginning of a great story for the Chambliss kid.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't care. I know I'm not going to sit here and watch every game Ole Miss plays, but man, I am going to be fascinated about how Ole Miss handles like next week. I don't even know who they play. It doesn't matter.
They play
But if
Tulane
Campbell-
this week.
Yeah, who they play?
Tulane, who, by the way, if you know, that's John Summerall. That's like everyone's guy. That is going to be tough.
Yes, it is. And if I see Chambliss go out there and do the same thing he did against Arkansas, then I'll be like, okay, maybe. But if he goes out there and looks very average, I'm going to be very upset. I'm going to be very mad. But that's just the way it is. Let's see. Kelku says, any update on Connie? Kanai Walker. I won't play the clip because it's long, but basically what Sam Pittman said today is that he went home with the team. There was a lot of precautionaries. They think he's going to be all right, but it's not. I think he said it'd be maybe a few weeks. It's not going to be anything significant as far as being out for the season, but they're monitoring it. It's just, I think it's one of those things that was a lot more precautionary than anything as far as the stretcher and all that. But he is going to be out, but it's not a season-ending type of deal or any situation like that.
Yeah, John, that was another case where Sam Pittman was very careful to word things a specific way, which we don't speculate on this show.
No.
But I think there's a reason why he couldn't say certain things, like there's protocols and, you have to you have to be careful with the way you say things. I remember when, another Razorback player suffered a similar situation. It's like, there's things you can't say and there's steps that have to happen. But I think it sounds like a promising update based on, when you see a guy get stretchered off the field, a lot of times you're thinking, like, there's a lot of things your imagination can talk yourself into. And it seems like they avoided all of the really bad ones that our brains came up with. Although it is still obviously a delicate and serious situation, they'll continue to monitor, hope that, all goes well and he continues to progress. I'm glad he was able to travel home with the team. That would have sucked, man, having to stay overnight and, be stuck in there, and then I don't know where his family was at or how that played out, but that's a very stressful 24 hours. I'm glad he was able to get home with everyone else.
Yeah, me too. So it was a good update to hear. Also, let's see. Evan Baker says, do you remember Sam saying he wouldn't trade Bobby for nothing? He didn't mention anybody in the defense. Haha. It's like, well,
yeah.
Yes. I'm not saying that that's a comment that he made. And when he was thinking, oh, I absolutely would trade my entire staff. It's like he was just talking about Bobby specifically more so than being like, he's the only one, everybody else I would give up in a heartbeat.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I don't know if that was a shot at Travis Walker. I think it was just, I love Bobby.
Yeah. Also exclusive carts, our guy, usually in our post games, but here he is. He says, the thing I didn't understand was they won the coin toss. Pitman wanted the ball first. Then on the 4th and 2 throws the freshman kicker instead of trusting his senior quarterback in TG and BMFP.
So this was something Pitman talked about today, about some of that decision and basically his, which by the way, exclusive carts. Yes, he is always on the post games. This was like the biggest, most common, question we had on the post game of like, why do you ask for the ball and then do that? And it was very fair and valid. And we kind of thought that was weird. 4th and 2 with the way the game played out, it definitely just looks bad. And Pittman talked about that. And he said they wanted to take the lead. The reason they took the ball was to take the lead and make Ole Miss chase them. They felt like making a field goal, of course, you do take the lead, would effectively accomplish that. So premise wise, sure. The thing I didn't like that Sam Pittman said though, was he said, if I had known the game was going to be like it was, and that's where I say, how did you not know that? Like, I think literally, I don't think I'm that smart of a guy. And I know I even, by the way, said both offenses are going to have over 400 yards and that the under would still be in play. The under was not in play, but it's like, I think we all kind of knew what type of style of offense that Ole Miss runs. We knew that Arkansas, we feel like they have a top 15, top 20 offense in the country. You knew it was probably going to be fast paced, like high scoring. You knew that 3 weren't really going to do a ton here. That I didn't like, that he's like, if I had known that the game was going to be the way it was, I'm like, what game did you think y'all were playing? Like a defensive slugfest?
Yeah, well, that's kind of goes into what we were kind of talking about and the speculating of the comments Hunter Yurchek made about the defensive staff and Pittman talking about messaging. It makes me wonder that maybe at that time he was like, he felt like the game plan for defensively was going to be great. And they're like, hey, we got this backup quarterback. We're ready for him. We're ready and we're prepared and we're going to shut him down. And I'm not trying to play a defense for Pitman because I even said I would have gone for it then too. Like if you're on the road and all that, but again, I'm just trying to figure out the behind the scenes things that maybe that's kind of plays into the whole thing of how pissed off he was where this was not at all what we game planned for. And we look like a bunch of chumps out here.
this also kind of herein lies like an issue that I feel like is we're all kind of going through is, like you, me, and Curtis, we've talked football a lot. We've talked about this team and expectations. And I think we agreed, like you said, through 3 games, if you had come to us in fall camp and showed us these results, we wouldn't have even batted an eye. We would have been like, yeah, that's about right. They should beat Alabama A&M, Arkansas State. And then, yeah, maybe you struggle on defense against Ole Miss. And I think we, again, watched the game Saturday and we were upset. We were frustrated, but I don't think we were like surprised big picture. But I think there are fans out there who really did think this was a defense was going to be running and flying everywhere. This Ole Miss backup quarterback, they were going to shut him down, and the offense was going to be uncontested. And so they are surprised. It sounds to me like Pitman really thought they were about to go into Oxford and beat the absolute piss out of those guys. Like, I think he went into this matchup very confident, thinking, dude, there's no way we are not prepared for this game. Holy cow, which he said many times, like after every loss, he's always kind of like, I thought we had a good plan. Like, I thought we were good. It seems like he was ready to, play KJ Jackson in the fourth quarter, and then they lose the game because of their defense. And so maybe that kind of gives you some insight into why he and Hunter Yurachek are reacting so strongly to this game that, by all accounts, kind of played out the way that a lot of people thought it was going to play out.
Well, and I'm going to really, again, keep diving deep into this whole like newly founded possible conspiracy on everything. First off, I love if Pitman was that confident going into the game, because that's what I love in coaches. I want coaches to go in and be like, oh yeah, we're going to beat the crap out of this team. Maybe not say it publicly in that manner, but feel that way. And so going into it, it just makes me wonder of, like, because I think if you look at the numbers that Bobby Petrino's done against a Pete Golding defense, whether it's at Ole Miss, even last year, but especially at that year that they had at Texas A&M, he just knows how to do it. He just knows how to really find some holes in that. And I think on that, on top of everything else in Pittman's mind, and maybe because of what Williams had said or what they had planned for or whatever, it was kind of like, listen, I know we're going to score on every possession. So as long as we just get stops here and there, we're going to win. And that, coupled with the pressure that's on Pitman, coupled with the frustrations that's mounting and all these comments being made, it's just like, golly, I can't help but think they're all connected. I just can't help but think that this is all connected in some regard. And I'm wondering if, again, with Yurachek making those comments, which will have some things to play, but
there will be a video of that, right?
What's that?
There will be a video of the Yurachek address, right?
Yeah. There's for one Little Rock Touchdown Club, and they've been putting out some clips. I've been trying to wait and see if they put out the one that we referred to. But I will say, let me play this one because I have not heard this one, Ellis. This is a clip from Yurachek at the Little Rock Touchdown Club. The only thing I saw was the tweet quote where it said, "Football, where we are right now, we are not set up to win a national championship." That was the quote in this tweet. I haven't heard the video, so let's hear from Hunter Yurachek. Sure, this won't get anyone fired up, and what he had to say about this specifically.
National championship in men's basketball moving forward. We know we're set up to win a national championship in baseball moving forward, and I think we're set up in several other sports to win a national championship. Football, where we are right now, we're not set up to win a national championship. I'll just be brutally honest with that. But I think we're set up to compete really well in the Southeastern Conference, especially now with the new revenue sharing model.
And you feel that's directly related to directly related to finances. That's what you feel when you say that, correct?
Absolutely. It's directly related to finances and what programs were able to invest in their teams in the past.
Okay. So says that Arkansas is the only sport is football is not set up to win a championship, and he's directly saying it's because of finances.
So I don't think it's an incorrect statement. Like, right. I think he's telling that is an objectively true statement, is that Arkansas, there are teams, and we've said this for a while, there are teams that, in football, you have to have the most talented team. You can't win a national championship. Like in baseball, even, you can win a national championship with the 15th most talented team. You just can't do that in football. And so I think that plays a factor in it. It's not 100% finances, but it is definitely a big factor. And I also think there's just historical implications, talent in the state, all this. But I'm sure everyone doesn't love hearing that. But yeah, it is a true statement. I would be interested to know if he feels, but I think moving forward, we will have a chance to do all this. It didn't really sound like he was getting ready to say that, though.
Yeah, and again, it's the whole thing I have, which I agree and I understand it, but it's also like, okay, so how do we get there then? You know, if I'm a fan, I'm like, how do we get there then financially? What is what is it that is holding back? Is it simply just because we're a poor state and we have nothing? Is it we need big, rich donors to up their game? Is it because of lack of the NIL? I mean, what I get if there's an issue, but okay, so lay out what it needs to be to fix it. Like, how can you fix it? Can it be fixed? Is it just stuck here? We'll see. But there was another clip too. And again, these I haven't watched these yet. I'm just going off of what the quote was from the Little Rock Touchdown Club with Hunter Yurchik speaking out of it. One of the things that this quote says was that I think to be competitive, we may have to figure out what the third lane looks like for the University of Arkansas. That's what the quote is. So let's hear what this is about more specifically.
Let's all raise our hands. If you're driving down I-40 and the speed limit's 55, but you know there's not going to be a trooper out that day, how many are going 65? Right? That's what's happening in college athletics right now. And so you have to decide as an athletic director, are you going to get out in this lane that you know you're not supposed to be in and operate without the highest level of integrity, or do you want to stay in these two lanes? And that's where the rub is coming right now in college athletics. Until we get our enforcement agency up and running, you're going to continue to have schools operating in that third lane, and that's a bad place to be, in my opinion. It's bad for college athletics. And I don't want to operate there, but I think to be competitive, we may have to figure out what that third lane looks like for the University of Arkansas.
Buddy, you get in that lane and you go as fast as you want to until you get caught, until that trooper pulls you over. And guess what happens? You pay the ticket and you move on. Are you kidding me, man?
And here's my thing, John. Arkansas does get in that lane. Like the idea, because I get conceptually, I'm sure that's going to work on some people. They're going to see that and say, you know what? Mike Anderson way. I want to be that integrity. I want to do that. Here's the problem. Arkansas does not play by those. Arkansas is not that. They do pay players. They do cut deals and find compensation for their players outside of NIL and then funnel it through stuff. They do stuff. They do it in football. They do it in basketball. They do it in baseball. They reach out to players. You think David Oakey just woke up one day while he was in his dorm at Abilene Christian and was like, I want to be a Hog? No. They reached out to him. They got him on board. They gave him money to come to Arkansas. Spoiler alert. It's Arkansas is in that lane. They just haven't fully committed and are not doing it as well. They're going 65. Their opponents are going 90. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. He's like, oh, we won't go over that lane. We will not break any rules. You break rules in every sport, just like everyone else does. There are people that just break rules more and better and more efficiently and more effectively and don't waste money on stupid stuff and don't hire bad coaches and then don't backtrack on stuff that they say. Like you can't say, oh, we don't get in that third lane. That third lane's a bad place to be. You literally, every single athletic department at the University of Arkansas operates to some extent in that third lane. John Calipari is the head coach of Arkansas's men's basketball team. You think Arkansas football or Arkansas basketball has never gone over to that third lane? If you believe that, you are a blithering, booger-eating moron. And you like, we are just not living in the same world. You can't say, oh, man, I can't believe all these other opponents, all of our opponents would go to that third lane. We would never do such a thing. You're in the third lane. You're just still getting lapped in the third lane.
Yeah, like, again, since we're using these metaphors about the lane, what it reminds me of is that Arkansas is in that lane, as you said, but the speed limit is 75 and Arkansas is going 55. And then every time someone's trying to pass them, they have to move over and let them pass. You're letting them pass. You're in there already, but you're letting them pass. You could go that speed limit. You could go faster than what the speed limit's supposed to be. You could. You should. It's encouraged. But this idea, like you said, that Arkansas is 100% squeaky clean and the entire athletic department, they've never done anything to this point, is ludicrous. It's absurd. It's absolutely absurd because I don't care what anybody says. You mentioned basketball for sure. Dave Van Horn in baseball. Do you not think that listen, we love Dave. Dave's one of the best, but do you think Dave's just sitting back being like, oh, all these guys are going to LSU and Georgia. I'm getting all these amazing players because they just love me and they're coming here for free.
John. That's how Dave Van Horn builds those rosters. The power of friendship and leadership. That's how he does it.
That's right. Like, get out of here with that, man. Like,
what is it with the University of Arkansas and left lane monikers? Why do we love that left lane so much? What is it about the left lane that we love to reference?
Yeah, we love to reference it, but apparently not drive in it. We just like to say, hey, it's over there. Golly, man. Hunter, like people know how I feel about Hunter Yurachek and everything, but it's just like hearing that quote just makes me mad all over again. I'm like, why are you? Don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining. Don't say that you're doing that. Everything about Arkansas is squeaky clean and they're not doing it, but all these other teams or schools are cheating. Well, you know what? All those other schools are having a lot more fun. All right. That's how fans look at it. They're having fun over there. Look at freaking Vanderbilt. You don't think they're just partying up over there? Vanderbilt, Missouri, Ole Miss, they're having a good time. We're over here being like, well, we do things the right way. Ask our guy Curtis and Dudley about the Cardinal way and see how many championships that's won them over the past few years. You don't think that they would love to, maybe do it a different way to win championships? Of course they would. Jeez, man. It's so
You think it worked on the people in that room that they were like, you know what, damn. We're never going to be good in football. We're going to magically be good in basketball and baseball somehow, but we're never going to be good in football. But at least we can lay our head on that pillow at night and know that we did it the right way. And, we didn't bend any corners. We didn't do anything. We did it with integrity. Like, do you think that really, and by the way, like, if you do feel that way, like, I guess that's fine, but it's like, we've had some of these, we have people argue with us all the time that, hey, Arkansas is this 9-3, 10-2 team. The athletic director has made it clear, and I've said this publicly, that is not their goal. And I'm not saying that they don't want to win. Of course, Arkansas wants to win. Everybody wants to win. That is not priority numero uno for Arkansas football. That is not like the thing that drives them. They do not wake up every day believing in their heart that Arkansas should be the best program in the country. And the plans, they don't even pretend to tell you that is the plan for Arkansas to be the best football program in the country. I mean, your athletic director is out here saying, and by the way, he's not wrong. 100%, we said that. He's not incorrect about the idea that Arkansas is not set up to win a national championship. They don't have the money. They don't have the financing. All that's true, but he doesn't even pretend that is the goal. He's not even to sell you on this idea of we are going to have the best program, the best team, the best coach, the best players, the best any of that. He does not even try. And again, I think you should just take him at his word. Everyone's arguing that Arkansas is going to go 9-3, 10-2. Your athletic director doesn't even think it's possible. He doesn't even think you could possibly achieve that.
Well, okay, Andrew, and I know we're spending a lot of time on this, but this just pisses me off, man, because my question is we just talked about two things that Hunter Yurachek said. Arkansas can't win a championship in football due to finances. That's as simple as that. So would getting in that third lane, doing things a different way, would that get you financially to winning a championship? Is that an option? Because you cannot tell me that we can't do it here financially when there's a lane over there that if you got in, you could, and you're refusing to do it. That is a massive problem if that is the case. If it's as simple as just getting in that lane, taking that lane, and then suddenly you have what you need to win a national championship, but you are choosing based on moral high character or whatever, which as we've saw, it doesn't matter what you do in college athletics, cheat your rear off. There's never any repercussions. Nobody gets in trouble. So why not go crazy? Who's gotten in trouble? Might as well. And then if everybody's doing it, you're getting left behind. And guess what? You're going to continue to get left behind. No one's going to feel sorry for you. You're going to get coaches fired. You're going to get Sam Pittman fired. You're going to get these defensive. You're going to be a school that nobody wants to come and coach at because they know you're not going to do whatever it takes to win and set them up for success. You just have to be successful under the groundwork that has been laid by this administration. And no coach is going to want to come into that. Not a single one of them.
And look, like with Sam Pittman, there's a lot of times that Sam Pittman goes and he talks about the football team and he talks about their issues. And we're not saying Sam Pittman is capable of fixing all the problems. But if you're going to sell us on this idea that the only thing getting in our way was these defensive adjustments that we needed to make, and now we've made them. And the only thing that was getting in our way was revenue share. And now we've split that up. That's going to be the thing. And Yurachek, by the way, slipped that in there now with revenue share. Now we're moving closer. This whole thing is going to change. And that's the one thing in our way. And now we've got it out of the way. That's why we can't accept that, because we know it's not true. You cannot, as a Razorback fan, accept when Hunter Yurachek tells you the only thing standing in between us and being a nationally relevant football program is that we just won't get in that third lane. Because then what if we all decide unanimously, okay, you know what? You say that's the only thing in the way? Cool. Blow through that. Go ahead and get in the left lane. We give you the free. Matter of fact, we'll help you do it. There will be people in the state of Arkansas who'll be like, I will help you with my business. Let's do this. Let's go to that third lane and let's do whatever we got to do. And then what are you going to do as an athletic director? Say, well, actually, no, we can't. you would have to then come to terms with the fact that you are in the left lane. You are just getting passed in the left lane, like you said.
Yeah. And I know we'll get to some of your chats, folks. We also got to do a recruiting update that we'll play with Dudley. But Andrew, I hate this movie, but you're a Star Wars guy and you understand. I feel like Poe Dameron. Tell us we have a plan, that there's hope, that there's something that can be done to fix this. What you said is true. Okay, how do we fix it? And I feel like that's just the one missing ingredient in all of this. It's like, tell us how that can be fixed. And it says, oh, well, it's just finances. Okay, then is it the boosters? Is it the donors? Is it the common fans? Is it just communicate with everyone? Because every Razorback fan wants to win. They want to win, and they will flood you with money as long as they feel like you're doing whatever it takes to win. But if you just say, can't happen, and you're like, okay, so do you have any options for us? Like, do you have anything we can do? Well, you hate collectives. You hate the NIL. Like, you've jacked up the prices on people. You've cut costs right and left. You can't sell the naming rights to the Razorback Stadium. So what's the plan here? Like, what do? We just need to sit here and hope blindly that it's all going to be okay? I just cannot stand this lack of incentive and this lack of plan and lack of communication of just getting people all on the same page across the state, because, man, everybody wants the same thing. They want to win. And if you don't communicate the best path to get to that point and instead just go, no, we have no chance, can't do it, then people are going to want you fired and want you gone until they can find somebody that will.
And John, it's not lost on me that Arkansas, even if you put the literal best coach in the country in position of Arkansas right now and the best athletic director in the position of the University of Arkansas, it wouldn't immediately equate to Arkansas being the best program and the best team. And hell, maybe if Nick Saban were at Arkansas, they maybe never even would realistically become the best program. Maybe they couldn't. I don't know. I'm not even predicting for you. It's not lost on me that there are factors that play against Arkansas. There's no doubt about that. Like, we're not even arguing against that, but it's not good whenever you have the people that are in those leadership positions who not only are aware of this, but accept that and say, well, we're never going to be the best because of X, Y, and Z. I don't want to hear that from you.
No.
I know it's true, but I don't want to hear that from the leader. Like you say, I want to have the leader tell us, hey, we are going to be the best, and here's how we're going to do it. And here's how we're going to do it. It might not even have to really happen, but there has to be something that we're believing in here. I don't like whenever you have the head coach of the team that fully knows full well, hey, we have a ceiling. We have certain teams we can't compete with. We have certain teams we can't beat. And by the way, it differs from what Sam Pittman believed when he took the job, and he took over a 2-10 Arkansas team. The first game that Sam Pittman coached against was Georgia. His first game as a coach was against Georgia, and he was so disappointed, John, in the press conference after that game. You can go back and watch it. And he's like, man, like, I know, because everybody was doing the questions of, hey, you played well against Georgia. How do you feel? And he was like, guys, I know it's going to sound crazy. I thought we were about to beat these guys. Like, I really felt in my heart that we could beat these guys, and we were going to go out there and we were going to be number one, that we could be that team. And I understand that reality, we all look at that and say, hey, there was no way you were going to beat Georgia. We all knew. The greatest stories in sports are when guys believe in themselves and they know, hey, I'm going to do whatever I can to be the best, whether I am right now or not. I'm going to do everything I can. And then one day they come close to it and we celebrate that. And Bobby Petrino, I don't know if Arkansas was ever going to be the number one program in the country under Bobby Petrino. In fact, I would argue they weren't. I've argued that with you before, that like it really wasn't going to be this happy fairy tale ending, but I never had to wonder, does Bobby believe they can beat Alabama? Does Bobby believe they can beat LSU? That was never in question. And I know he lost to Alabama. I know he lost to LSU in 2011, but it's like he knew and he felt they could do that. They could win the national championship. I just think it's a huge red flag when your head coach and your administrator don't even believe that the program could accomplish things that you guys want them to.
Yeah, it's a huge alarming thing. And I know we spent a lot of time on this, but I mean, this is what's been going on with Yurchek and at the Little Rock Touchdown Club. Because I know we'll move on to some other things and get to your chats and everything. But, the last thing I'll say is that I remember, and you remember, Andrew, we all do, when I, talked about the, not accepting mediocrity and the mantra of stupid people and all that crap that came from it. That all stemmed from a conversation that I had been having with several donors, boosters, who were told this exact thing. This was months ago, earlier in the year. They were told that Arkansas football can't win a championship in it, so we're just, what are you going to do? And I got hit up by people just being, got criticized, got almost made fun of, got all this stuff. And then here you are with seeing your check say the exact thing of like, we can't do it. And I had coaches, as I said, talk to me. They're like, who is saying that? This is upsetting to me. This is horrible. This is not what we want. It burns me up. And it burns me up for Razorback fans because I don't want to make this a thing of cost and all that. But Andrew, you know how much it is for these fans to go to these games and to invest in the Razorback Foundation and get these tickets and all that. Thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars that they probably don't have, or they probably don't want to spend and could spend on other things that could be more beneficial, but it's because they love the Razorbacks. Imagine telling all those people spending all that money. You're investing into a program, you're investing into something that has no chance of being successful, has no chance of being what you want it to be. Sorry, but we still want your money. That is a stupid approach. Even if it's not true, I kept saying it. Lie to me about it. Just lie to me about it.
Right.
Instead of doing this approach, it's costly, it's dumb, and I just can't believe we're hearing an athletic director say these things publicly. I just cannot believe that this is what's going on, especially knowing the current atmosphere and the current feelings that so many Razorback fans have towards him, towards the administration, towards Pitman. It's like doing nothing to help the situation. You're only making it worse.
That's a great point, John, about the way that we're set up. Everyone in the SEC is operating. Vanderbilt is who we've looked at for years and said they're the worst program, they're the worst everything, worst fan base, worst stadium, worst all that. Vanderbilt, Clark Lee, truly in his heart is like, hey, we're going to be the number one program. He's telling his team that behind closed doors. He's not going to the media and saying that. He's telling his team last year, we are going to be the number one program in the country. We are going to win the national championship. We are going to do it. Obviously, they're never going to freaking do it, John. Obviously, Vanderbilt's never going to be, but they are operating, doing everything they can to get as close to that as possible. Every year, there's one team that's going to win the football national title, but there's a bunch of teams that are scratching and clawing and fighting to be number one. And I understand that Arkansas may never be number one, but if we are no longer trying to be, then we're never going to get anywhere close, ever.
Yeah, I'm just really disappointed in all that. But either way, we have more to talk about. We'll get to some of your chats, folks. I really appreciate everybody tuning in and everything. We're going to have a little bit of your recruiting update each and every Monday and Friday here on Inside Arkansas Live. We're going to have a little recruiting update from the weekend and the weekend to come, and it's presented by our friends over at Goat Lab Red and Goat Lab Brewery there in Lowell and Fayetteville. Now, listen, they had this great thing over the weekend where they did progressive wing night. And as you can see, that's kind of the rules that they're going to keep it going. They're going to keep doing it where the wings start at a discount price. And then after every score, the price drops by the score amount until the wings are free. And guess what? This past Ole Miss and Arkansas game, lots of points were scored. So you start having some great free wings, and they're awesome over there, and they're going to continue it. So a great place to watch the games. If you need a place to watch it for the Memphis game coming up this weekend, go to Goat Lab Red in Fayetteville at 1214 North Garland Avenue. They have great signature beers like Razorback, Tusk Light, all that great stuff, as well as the progressive wing night. And the wings are great too. So you got to check it out today. You can also go there for lunchtime because each and every day during the week at lunch, they're going to have our faces. They're going to have Inside Arkansas Live playing live there in their establishment. So you can watch us, eat with us, drink with us, dine with us, have fun with us, and get fired up with us as well. So it's a great place to go. So go to Goat Lab Red, your new game day tradition. And here is your recruiting update presented by Goat Lab by our own Inside Arkansas recruiting podcast host, Dudley Dawson.
Covering recruiting and the transfer portal for the Razorbacks. This is Inside Arkansas Recruiting with Dudley Dawson.
It's Dudley Dawson of Inside Arkansas Recruiting Podcast. I wanted to stop by and give a quick update of some things that happened over the weekend. Obviously, Arkansas losing to Ole Miss 41-35 in a close game down there at the end. They'll play Memphis at 11 on Saturday. Following recruiting as I have for 40 years, a lot of times I've been on commitment watch. I think now we're on a bit of a decommit watch. Obviously, Bryce Gilmore, Arkansas's highest-rated recruit going into the last week. Offensive lineman from Prosper, Texas, 4-star decommitted last Thursday, and he's opening up his recruiting is going to take a look. And now we're also going to need to take a look at Theodore, Alabama linebacker J.J. Bush, 6'3", 205 guy that they really like. He visited LSU this past weekend when they played Florida. Visited Mississippi State the weekend before that. Anxious to get him on the show and soon and find out just kind of where he stands with Arkansas. Yes, he's committed, but taking these visits, you kind of wonder what he's, if he's going to be looking at some other schools. He had offers from Missouri, Miami, and all that. Would probably be really important for Arkansas to go out and get a win this week because they're going to have a lot of recruits in for the Notre Dame game, and being 3-1 instead of 2-2 probably could play a lot into recruits' minds as they go along. Also, we're going to talk to Colton Yarbrough later in the week. He's the defensive end from Durant, Oklahoma, who is now Arkansas's highest-rated recruit, 4-star edge rusher that they're really excited about getting. We're going to visit with him and his coach later in the week. Also, Casey Dick, the former Arkansas quarterback and now Fayetteville High School head coach. He is he's done a really good job at Fayetteville High. Right now, he's got 3 recruits that are either committed to Arkansas or have offers, and we're going to talk to him about those. And also, they've got a big game with Texas High in Texarkana this week, 2-0 and going into that game. So we'll talk to him about some Arkansas memories, his recruits that are being recruited by Arkansas, and some other things. Again, Inside Arkansas Recruiting Podcast is sponsored by Goat Lab Brewery. They have a location in Lowell that had Last Old Trivia last Thursday. That was a good time. And also they've opened a new Goat Lab Red there in Fayetteville it's on Oak Plaza on North Garland, just down from the university. A lot of good things happening there. A lot of good brews, a lot of great food, hamburgers, and all the other kind of stuff you want to get there. Again, it's on Oak Plaza in North Garland. They had progressive wings this weekend. It's one of those things where you can order some wings, and as teams score points, the price of the wings starts going down. Obviously, it was a high-scoring game on last Saturday between Arkansas and Ole Miss, so those wings got pretty cheap by the end. Again, we'd like to thank them for being our sponsor. We want everybody to like and subscribe. Get a lot of great content here on Inside Arkansas. And we'll look forward to talking to you as the week goes along.
All right. There was our recruiting update presented by Go Lab Brewery there in Fayetteville with Dudley Dawson. You can check out his Inside Arkansas Recruiting Podcast right here on Inside Arkansas. So appreciate him being a part of it, and also appreciate, of course, Goat Lab making it happen each and every day here on Inside Arkansas. Okay, so we'll get to your chats before we close up shop. I know we've been going for a bit, but hey, listen, we got Curtis watching. He says, appreciate your honesty, Hunter. Everyone adjust your expectations accordingly. Seems to be the term.
I mean, I will say, of all the people that got mad at us because they would come in and say, hey, I think Arkansas is going 9-3 or 10-2. Well, I mean, the AD literally tells you that they can't. He's like, we are not going to, and we are not. So I feel like you should be less mad at us now.
Yeah, you feel like that would be the case, but I mean, good grief. It's like, I feel like that's kind of like the message he's maybe wanting to actually give is just, hey, we're not doing this, so just adjust and forget about it. And you just need to be happy for this. But either way, let's see. Joe wanted to say, hey, on the bright side, the O-line is way better. Does Sam get some of that credit? Yeah, I mean, both him and oh my gosh, I just lost his name. Eric Mateos, offensive line coach. Both of them. Yeah, the offensive line, I know you guys talked about it, but man, that pass protection that they had, especially outstanding for them in Ole Miss. I think even Sam Pittman was asked about in the press conference, Andrew, where he was like, it makes every difference in the world for Taylor Green to play his best whenever he has confidence in his O-line that he's going to be protected. Yeah,
Sam Pittman definitely gets credit for the offensive line being better. Does he get all of it? No, because I was one that was arguing he shouldn't get all of the blame when we were making fun of him and being like, hey, you're the O-line coach, you're the O-line guy, and your O-line sucks. What's going on? I give Mateos credit. I also just give them, the coaching staff, credit for knowing what they wanted to do offensively. And this is what's crazy, John. They knew what they wanted to do offensively, so they went out and got a left tackle that fits what they wanted. They moved their left tackle to left guard. Feel like he's a better fit there. They went out and got a center to call it all. They've got some young guys in Kobe Branham and Shaq McCrory, who's not playing, but Marion Harris fit better at right tackle. And by golly gee, man, they're out there doing it. And it's also why it's kind of unacceptable when we look at every position group in the defense and we're like, oh, but I mean, they can't recruit like Georgia. It's like, They can't recruit like Georgia on offense, but they've got a quarterback that is playing at a high level. They've got an offensive line that's playing at a high level. They've got receivers who sucked other places that are playing well at Arkansas. So it's like, you can't tell me Arkansas is incapable of going out there and getting guys, recruiting and paying guys, by the way, and then having them play above where they've played before.
Yeah, and also to that point as well, like I think Sam Pittman talked about today, the wide receivers. He was basically like, we got wide receivers that again, not saying it from everybody last year, but he was definitely like that know how to run the routes and know where they need to be on those routes, which helps tail and throw, which we've all known about Bobby Petrino offense. It's about those routes, man. Like you gotta be just perfection when it comes to those route running. And I think that's been a big part of it too. Let's see. Also, Parker says, also noticed Oki wasn't on the depth chart for Memphis. Is he re-injured or am I missing something?
So this is a prime case right here of nobody really looks at that. Like, nobody on the coaching staff looks at that depth chart. They made that depth chart, though they did make changes. They did remove the or between Amarian Harris and Shaq McCroy. So there's no longer an or there. They've ended that battle. Because I also, Porter, I saw Kenai Walker listed as a starting corner, and I'm like, whoa, that's notable. Kenai Walker. But then I looked and saw that, David Oki was not on the 3 deep at defensive tackle, which tells me that they didn't really think about it. Sam even said he's going to practice this week. If he practices, he's playing. And he played 8 snaps on Saturday. Sam expects that number to go up. So he's clearly, if he's healthy, he's in the 2 deep. But this is just a prime example of don't take the depth chart at face value.
Exactly. I listen. I don't even look at the depth chart, and I just listen to what Pitman may have to say and go from there. But like this from Heartbroken Heart says, Pitman must have watched the Inside Arkansas simulation Thursday night and thought that's how the game would go. Yeah, 13-0 with was it Scott Starks? Did he miss 3 field goals in that game?
Maybe 2. I don't know, but it was pretty crazy. But yeah, he was like, man, 13-point game. I mean, like that's all it's going to be scoring. 3 points in the first drive, that'd be big. Yeah. You're shutting out Ole Miss, so who cares? As long as you score points, that's all that matters. Because you're going to be outscoring them. Let's see. Also, Jeff says, "What about freaking Vanderbilt? If they can have success in a good defense, so can Arkansas." Which is kind of what you were talking about. 100%. And by the way, Clark Lee went to Vanderbilt, not Arkansas. He went to Vanderbilt, and that's why he feels as strongly as he does. And that's not why they're having success, but it all comes full circle where it's like, you don't have to be the best program in the country, but you at least have to have someone who views it that way. And he went to Vanderbilt. He views it that way. And that's what college sports is all about to me, is teams like Vanderbilt playing above their expected value. Also, Addison says, who's responsible for setting up the football program to win a national championship? Asking for a friend. Apparently, the AD can't do anything about it. Apparently, I mean, it is what it is. You just need to accept it. Just so disappointing. But I mean, that's who it should be, to be honest. In fact, Trey also says he still hasn't gotten the stadium name done yet. Said today, 1 to 1.5 years away. He has no plan. That should have already been done before the rights came up. That's income we are not getting. Yeah, that's been. I didn't hear. Did he say 1 to 1.5 years away? That's it. I didn't hear that part, and I'm going to trust you, Trey. But if that's the case, even worse. Because guess what? The rights were up a year and a half ago. It's the summer of 2024 that the rights were up, not 2025. So you're telling me that there's going to be 2.5 to 3 years of not having the naming rights on the Razorback Stadium? 3 years, possibly? John, when we had this conversation at Alumni Hall, I started doing some research. The ADG and Tom Murphy and Christina Long, by the way, have been crushing this. And I believe Matt Jones has contributed to this as well. They've been covering this since the summer of 2023. Since like May 2023, they've been talking, hey, in a year, the stadium name rights are going to be up. This is a huge story. This is something that the U of A is hoping to get done. And I remember talking to, I'm not going to say his name out loud, a friend of ours who says that basically one of the main reasons Yurachek was giving to a reporter was that, a bunch of people were on vacation this summer. And so it was hard for us to really get in and hash this thing out. And, it was tough for us to really sit down and get that done. So that's why they didn't have it done for this football season. Now he's saying a year and a half. I just wonder, I'm like, there's a lot that goes on here. What is it that's like that is getting in the way of them getting this done? I don't know. I'm like, that's again, just, is it communication? Is it, you're just not asking the right people? Because we're not even talking about
getting talent for a 5-star linebacker. We're talking about the naming rights to the stadium, which is, again, I'd love to see the research on it. How many other schools, especially in the SEC, do not have naming rights to their stadium, assuming that they have them available? And if they don't, like, what was the longest time frame that they went without naming rights? Because
I don't know. My entire life, they've had a naming right for the stadium.
Yeah, and also, it's not like it just came out of nowhere. Like the boogeyman is just like, oh, by the way, it's up right now. Like you knew it was coming up. So you've had years to prepare for this, which is one of your biggest money making. And it's like, because what was it? At first, it was $100 million deal. And then they're like, oh, we adjust it. But then they start getting a third party to try to find somebody. It's just.
The last number I heard was like, it was like 2 to 4.5 million or something like that is basically what they're looking for. I believe that would be annual. And so I know they've adjusted expectations over the years, but I wonder if that means if it's a year and a half, what that means for that number. Like, is that number just going down every year?
I guess, man. I mean, I would assume so, because if you can't get it's kind of business, isn't it? Like you've come out with a price, and then, maybe somebody's like, well, 10 million, I don't know, but maybe I could do something different. And then they'd be like, okay, well, how about 8 million? You can negotiate. I feel like that's business 101, but I don't know. Again, just basing on the comments, and I'm not saying this is for sure going on, but man, sometimes I just wonder with some of these comments that Yurchek makes or continues to make. I'm like, are you just trying to get out of it? I know he's been trying to leave, and I'm like, are you trying to get fired? Like, are you just wanting everyone to just not like you? Because you have not done a good job whatsoever and banding everyone together and locking arms and facing this. It just seems like every time you speak, which I want you to communicate, but it seems like every time you do, you just make everything worse.
It definitely doesn't a lot of the moves and comments do not read like a guy who is planning on being in Fayetteville, Arkansas for the next decade or so. I like this comment from Ace. He says he's saving it as a bargaining chip for the next coach. Can you imagine John Gruden Field? I mean, hell, if it's like, hey, we don't want to pay a coach $10 million a year, well, we'll pay you $5 million a year, and then every $3 million that we're saving on the name rights deal, we'll just give you that. How about that for free?
Yeah, because I'm sure that's what Gruden would really care about. I want my naming rights. Like, get out of here with that. I mean, again, I just don't know, man. I don't know. I'm so confused by it all. And then maybe I'm going to go back and watch the Touchdown Club and see if other things, because again, as we were live was when we were getting them, and I know that there were some other things that we wanted to get into today, but that's why we're always back tomorrow, is because we can continue to discuss it and get into more of it, and because there's just a lot that happened today, and so we'll have some more from that. But either way, Andrew, before we get out of here for the day, any final thoughts?
My final thoughts would be that I'm not as angry as I seemed in this episode. I'm actually in a great mood, and hopefully tomorrow we can just have some good rational dialogue, and I won't get heated, and we can just talk about football, and y'all can apologize for being so mean to me last week.
There you go. Yeah, that's great. And my final thoughts are just don't accept mediocrity. Don't accept it. I don't care if people think it's the mantra of stupid people. Call Razorback fans stupid, because you should never accept it and continue to never accept it. That's just my thought. But either way, appreciate each and every one of you listening and watching in here on Inside Arkansas Live. Be sure to subscribe to us here on Inside Arkansas on our YouTube page, as well as you can check out all of our audio podcasts wherever podcasts are found, specifically on Spotify, which is now doing video podcast as well. So we really love that. And whether it's Inside Arkansas Live, Pod at the Palace, Bombastic Podcast, Inside Arkansas Recruiting Podcast, Inside Arkansas Football Podcast, it's all there. So be sure to subscribe, be sure to check it out, and be sure to make it happen. And that'll do it for us today. For Andrew Ellis, as well as intern Cameron, I am John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel tomorrow at noon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. We will see you then.